Hello guys, we are going to this week start a training lab, and it's identifying writing pens and ink using paper chromatography. Now it's something that we did with Skittles back, or not Skittles, I'm sorry, M&Ms back at the beginning of the year. So it's not a new technique to us, but we'll kind of make sure that you guys are knowing what you're doing. Now if you're at home and you're remote, you always have the option to either come into the school and do the lab for after 2 o'clock or on Fridays, or I will post the results on here. You still have to do all the work, it's just you can look at the results on here, and I'll talk about that now. Now the background, it talks about chromatography. We've done paper chromatography. It is when we cut those little strips here. So just read through this. I'm not going to read through all this with you because I don't want to make this video too long, and you guys can read it. And then there's some questions as you go through this. There are some questions, well, right here, which you guys will fill out. I'll talk about that. But then right here, there are some questions. All right, so you need to make sure that you are reading the packet. And then if you don't understand something that it's saying, or if you don't understand a question, let me know and I'll help you out. So right here, what we're trying to do is you'll be trained to use paper chromatography to separate the chemicals found in ink samples. If you remember with the M&Ms, you would have different colors running up the paper. You'll be trained to construct a reference library of ink samples and use this reference library to identify the pen used to write a note. So remember, this is all forensics. So in this unit, like we'll look at some of the labs are paper thickness, ink pen writing, we'll look at handwriting analysis, blood sampling, anything that might have to do with forensics. All right, so part one, the paper chromatography of ink samples. So if you were here, if you're not here and you were here, you would pick up 3 chromatography tubes. We just use test tubes, and we use a large beaker to hold our test tubes so that they won't get knocked over. The kids have done this before. You're going to pour a little bit of alcohol. It says about 1 centimeter, but it doesn't matter. It depends on how long you cut this strip of paper right here. If it's shorter, like if it were a short strip of paper, you're going to have to add much more alcohol in there. So keep them maybe longer so that you don't have to use a ton. Alcohol is the solvent that will move up the paper, right? As soon as we stick that tip of the paper in there, the alcohol starts to run up the paper, and as soon as it hits this spot right here, the ink will start to bleed up the paper. Now, depending on what colors they've used in that ink, depends on how far up they will rise. All right, so we're going to cut a strip of chromatography paper. I'm going to have kids do this on Monday. We're going to read through this. They're going to get an idea of what they're doing. They're going to cut their strips out to get them ready, because this procedure right here takes at least 25 to 30 minutes. So with shortened class periods this year, we're really cutting it close. So we need to get everything ready to go tomorrow so that when they come in on Tuesday, we can get this going right away. Cut one end of chromatography paper to form a point. We've done this, so hopefully none of this is new. We're going to pick up a pen to test. So I've got several pens that they're going to use, and you're going to record the brand and the model at the top. That's going to be one of the things that they're going to have to do on Monday, is make sure that that is written on the top and ready to go, because if we forget to write it on the top, then we won't, after it's done, we don't know which pen it was. You're going to use the pen to make a good sized dot of ink right here, about 1.5 centimeters up from the point. You're going to use a pencil and make a mark on the paper strip beside it right there. We've done that before because the ink will leave. This dot will not be there anymore, and we need to know where we put that dot. You're going to lower the pointy end of the paper into the solvent, but make sure that the ink, that dot, does not touch it. If the dot touches this solvent right here, it will ruin everything. Now, if the solvent runs up the paper, it's fine, but if we get that in the solvent right away, it will ruin it and it won't work right. All right, so we'll see the solvent immediately start to move up. When it has moved more than halfway up the paper strip, we can remove the papers, so that's what students are going to be doing. And remember, they're doing this for 3 different pens. We're going to let the strip dry out, then tape it to the reference page. So here is my reference page right here. So when we have done that and it's all said and done, so that's Tuesday. Tuesday we're going to be actually doing the lab. Wednesday they will be good and dried out, and we will tape them down to the paper here. Right? Once we've done that, We're going to look closely at each pin's chromatography strip. We're going to determine how many different chemicals were present in the ink samples. So let's just look at this. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to walk through it right here. So what you guys would have done on Tuesday after the lab, when you pulled these out, you're going to make circles around the ink spots. So you can see here, here's chemical 1's distance. This is this dark blob right here. I'm going to measure from this arrow about midway to that dot, or the line, that pencil line that you made. You're going to measure from there to the top of this dark ink spot. Now we had a second chemical in this pen. Sometimes there's only one, sometimes there's two, sometimes I've seen 3 colors in there. So I'm going to measure from the pencil mark all the way to the top of that second chemical. And then the third measurement will be from my pencil mark all the way up to how far did that solvent travel? How far did this get wet up here? All right, so I've got 3 measurements here. Chemical 1, pencil to top. Chemical 2, pencil to the top of that color. And then how far the alcohol moved from the pencil to the top where it got wet. All right, once I do that, I'm going to record it in here. So total number of chemicals for this one, for this example, there would be 2 chemicals. So I would write a 2 right here in the total number of chemicals. The solvent distance measured, that is the pencil mark to how high up. Now guys, for you at home, I am going to post pictures of these. So once students get them done, I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to post them on here next to a ruler so that you can get these measurements. So then we're going to have color number 1. How far did it travel? Color or chemical number 3. How far did it travel? I'm sorry, I'm reading this backwards. I guess we would go down here and do chemical 1 first, and then chemical 2 here. Now we wouldn't have anything in chemical 3 box or chemical 4 box because there weren't that many. All right, so the RF value, we've dealt with this before too. It is right here. I am going to take the chemical distance divided by the solvent distance, sorry, cannot talk. So I'm going to look right here, and remember it is chemical divided by solvent. So I'm going to take this distance measured here for number 1, and I'm going to divide it by the solvent, and that's going to give me this RF value. All right, so that is what you guys are going to be doing. Once I get this stuff, and I'm sorry for those of you at home, if you don't come in to do this, it's just you're always a day behind because I have to get the lab results from the kids in class, then get them posted. So it's always just a little bit behind of them. But once I get those posted, I will walk through an example of filling out a piece of this chart, and then I'll have you guys do the rest. All right, if you have any questions at all, let me know. Just make sure that you read this and then be ready for Wednesday to have some results posted, or maybe Tuesday night. All right, if you need anything, let me know. Bye.